They never stood a chance the moment they aimed a weapon at me on my own street, unaware they were confronting someone with special operations training. Before we start, drop your country in the comments below. Let's see how far this story spreads. Now, let me take you back to how this all unfolded. After years serving overseas, I settled in Willow Creek Estates, seeking normalcy. I wanted peaceful evenings, fresh air, and space to decompress. What I found was HOA that behaved more like a paramilitary unit, led by a woman named Diane Cross. Diane wasn't merely strict, she was tyrannical. Every detail required her personal approval. House trim colors, fence heights, even shrubbery dimensions. During my first week, she intercepted me on the driveway. "We maintain certain standards here," she stated. I responded politely, "Ma'am, I have spent my career adhering to protocols. I understand standards." She didn't appreciate that. From that day forward, I was on her list. First arrived the violation notices, unapproved garden storage, non-compliant landscaping materials. Then came the inspections from her self-appointed HOA security team. 2 men wearing tactical gear and cheap earpieces. They weren't law enforcement, but they played the part. I warned them once, "Set foot on my property again and I'll press trespassing charges." The larger one, Carter, smirked. "We have jurisdiction here." "Not over me," I replied, closing the door. That should have concluded it, but people like them don't retreat until someone demonstrates where boundaries lie. The confrontation happened around 2 in the afternoon. Heat waves rose from the pavement. I was returning home from a neighbor's house 1 street over. The subdivision was silent. Children's toys scattered across lawns. Sprinklers rhythmically sprang. Then a dark pickup accelerated quickly, swerving to cut off my path. I didn't react. I faced deadlier situations. Both doors swung open. Carter emerged from the driver's side, his nervous partner from the other, both wearing those absurd HOA security vests as if preparing for combat. "Afternoon, sir," Carter announced, voice full of arrogance. "We have complaints about code violations. Got a moment to discuss?" "Not interested," I said, moving past him. He stepped directly into my path. The other man, jittery and pale, placed his hand on his weapon holster. That's when I identified it. A genuine firearm. Not a replica, not a toy. Actual metal. "Don't move!" the nervous one shouted. "We just need to ask some questions." My hands moved behind my back, both gripping the Sig Sauer concealed beneath my jacket. Legal, loaded, always accessible. I kept my voice level. "Listen, I attend Silir Materkal Inchikap Kadala back. You're not police officers. You have 3 seconds to remove your hand from that weapon." They didn't comply. The barrel aimed directly at me, sunlight glinting off the steel like a warning beacon. In that frozen moment, everything became quiet. My posture adjusted, weight distributed evenly, breathing controlled. I wasn't furious. I was concentrated. They believed they were intimidating a civilian. They had no clue they just threatened a special operations veteran. "Listen," I said, hands still positioned behind my back, fingers secured on the concealed firearm. My tone remained calm, measured. "This doesn't need to turn violent. Remove your hand from that holster and step away." The bigger one, Carter, identified by the flimsy fake insignia on his vest, gave a smug smile. "You think you own this neighborhood? You've received warnings. HOA rules apply to everyone." The pale and trembling man shifted uneasily beside him, one unsteady hand still aiming the weapon at me. He was terrified, and frightened individuals holding guns are the most unpredictable kind. I'm not violating any regulation, I stated evenly, and you two aren't certified officers. Remove those costume badges before you face felony impersonation charges. Carter took another step forward, gravel crunching under his footwear. We're authorized by the chairperson herself, he declared. You've been disregarding penalties, ignoring notices. That stops now. By threatening residents on public streets? I asked, my inflection flat. That isn't enforcement. That's incompetence. The jumpy one interrupted. We can do this peacefully, or we can do this forcefully, he said, voice trembling so severely it almost evoked sympathy. You genuinely don't want force, okay? I cautioned, maintaining steady respiration, monitoring both individuals' hands. Drop the weapon, walk away, and nobody gets injured. Carter snorted. He's pretending. Look at him, hands behind his back like he's afraid. He wasn't incorrect about my position, but he had zero awareness of what those hands were preparing. My finger touched the trigger housing, the movement practiced countless times before. When the nervous man jerked his arm upward, that split second of rash action, training superseded thought. 3 sharp reports ruptured the tranquil afternoon. The first struck his shoulder, spinning him sideways. The second hit his thigh, dropping him to the ground.
The third disarmed him, sending his weapon skittering across asphalt. He fell backward, panting, alive but neutralized. Carter hesitated for a brief moment before lunging. Critical error. I evaded, seized his arm, twisted, and delivered 2 precise elbow strikes to his ribcage. He cried out, attempted to break 3, but I maintained control, rotated, and slammed him onto the pavement. The resulting sound was unpleasant, bone fracturing under pressure. Remain down, I commanded, breathing regulated. Do not move. He couldn't. One arm trapped beneath him, ribs compromised. He gasped for oxygen as if the atmosphere had vanished. Neighbors began emerging, screen doors opening, mobile recordings. Someone yelled, "Contact the police." Another shouted, "They have firearms." I stepped back gradually, SIG still lowered, barrel directed downward. Threat neutralized, I announced loudly enough for witnesses. Self-defense. They initiated the aggression. Carter groaned near his partner, who lay wounded but conscious. We were just performing our duties, he wheezed. Yes, I said coldly. Impersonating law enforcement isn't a duty, it's a felony. Sirens echoed in the distance, growing increasingly loud. I secured my weapon, raised my hands, and waited. The engagement had concluded, at least for my part. For them, it was merely the commencement.
If this HOA story has got your attention, please like and subscribe, because the aftermath reveals even more. 4 patrol vehicles sped down the road, tires screeching, emergency lights reflecting off every house facade. Immediately, officers surrounded me, weapons drawn, hands visible. One officer commanded. I raised them slowly, completely composed. Firearms secured, legally permitted, I stated. 2 aggressors subdued, 1 armed, 1 restrained. They are not authentic officers. The lead officer approached, carefully retrieving my SIG and passing it to another deputy. Remain stationary, he instructed. Trust me, I said quietly. I'm not leaving. They placed me in handcuffs. Standard protocol. Meanwhile, paramedics attended the 2 individuals on the ground. Carter was curled near the drainage ditch, clutching his torso, his breathing labored and irregular. The smaller one, the shooter, had a projectile through his shoulder and a fractured femur. He kept moaning, mumbling something about Diane sending them. Sheriff Peterson arrived shortly after, a seasoned man with a discernment that cuts through confusion rapidly. He assessed the scene, then focused on me. You the resident? Correct, I said. They confronted me with a drawn firearm, asserted they were enforcing HOA rules. He glanced at the two men. They're wearing counterfeit badges? Precisely. And if I hadn't discharged my weapon, one of us wouldn't be breathing right now. Peterson nodded, already comprehending the situation. We'll confirm your license, but this appears justified. While medical personnel loaded the suspects onto gurneys, I noticed Carter wince when they lifted him. He has, at minimum, 3 fractured ribs. Potential pulmonary contusion. Appropriate. He would survive, but he would remember. As officers collected statements from residents, Sheriff Peterson gestured me aside. You handle that more proficiently than most trained professionals. You military? I paused, then offered a slight nod. Special operations. Currently reserve status. That elicited a low whistle. Clarifies the accuracy, he said. Next occasion, contact us initially. Next occasion, they won't get the opportunity. By the next day, the incident had circulated throughout the community. Every security camera, every mobile recording, all corroborated the same narrative. 2 fake HOA cops attempting to menace a homeowner. One armed, both incapacitated through justified self-defense. The legal process proceeded swiftly. Both men faced charges of impersonating officers, aggravated assault, illegal entry, and attempted armed coercion. The shooter endured 2 weeks hospitalized, shoulder surgically repaired, leg stabilized with surgical implants. Carter's injuries were more severe. 3 broken ribs, 1 collapsed lung, and lasting
Neurological damage that left him with a permanent limp. During interrogations, both admitted that HOA chairperson Diane Cross had offered them additional compensation for intimidating me into submission. It emerged she had exploited her position to harass residents who challenged fraudulent fines. The district attorney filed conspiracy and solicitation charges against her. She resigned before the initial hearing. 2 weeks later, the verdicts arrived. The shooter received 7 years state incarceration, fined $35,000, following medical treatment for his shoulder and leg injuries. Carter received 5 years imprisonment, fined $20,000, hospitalized for 11 days with multiple rib fractures, pulmonary trauma, and permanent nerve impairment preventing occupational return. Diane Cross, the HOA leader who employed them, was charged with conspiracy, solicitation, and authority abuse. She received 2 years county incarceration, $55,000 penalties, and permanent prohibition from any community board position. When the sheriff visited later to deliver the official determination, he smiled slightly. "You're exonerated," he said. "Entirely legitimate force application." "Satisfactory," I said, gazing toward the road where it occurred. "Perhaps next time she'll reconsider employing enforcers for her intimidation campaigns." He chuckled. "Rumors suggest half the HOA board just resigned." "Then the neighborhood has already improved," I responded. What's your perspective, everyone? Was this proper justice? Or simply what any person would have done in my position? Share in the comments. How would you have reacted if counterfeit HOA cops pointed a gun at you in your own community? They believed they were intimidating a civilian. They had no clue. But the real question remains, how many other residents suffered similar harassment before someone fought back? The investigation uncovered that Diane had targeted at least 7 other homeowners with similar tactics. One elderly couple paid thousands in bogus fines rather than face confrontation. A single father was threatened with property lien for refusing unnecessary repairs. This wasn't about community standards. It was about control and financial exploitation. The district attorney's office discovered secret bank accounts where Diane had been diverting association funds to pay her security team. When forensic accountants examined the books, they found over $200,000 missing over 3 years. The corruption ran much deeper than anyone imagined. Several other residents came forward after the incident went public.
sharing stories of intimidation and financial pressure. The local news coverage sparked a community-wide audit of all neighborhood associations in our county. And the most disturbing revelation? This wasn't an isolated case. Similar patterns emerged in 3 other developments, all with power-hungry board members using fake security to enforce their will. But that investigation is still ongoing, and if you want updates on how we're cleaning up our community governance, make sure you're following this channel. If this story of standing up to corruption resonated with you, please support our channel by liking this video and subscribing to Trending Tales Pulse for more real stories that need to be heard.